Hey, what's up, everybody? Tyler here. I had another fun update for everyone that I was really excited about that I forgot to talk about in the episode because we're trying to keep it a short Christmas episode. So much for that. We have a really cool partnership with Onyx now with Morphlate. So Morphlate is set up as a premium partner over at Onyx Offroad. So if you have an Onyx Offroad premium subscription, then you get 20% off of Morphlate products site-wide, everything on the website. Go check out the premium partner area of your subscription to get the details on that. And until I think it's January 3rd, maybe the 4th, if you want an Onyx Offroad premium subscription, you can get 40% off. Thanks to this partnership that we're doing here over the holidays. So reach out to Jimmy or I. You guys know how to do that, and we'll get you the details on how to get 40% off on an Onyx premium subscription. Thanks, guys, and Merry Christmas, and enjoy the episode. Oh, welcome all to this Merry Christmas episode of the Snail Trail 4x4 podcast. If you like going off-roading in Toyotas, wrenching on Toyotas, camping in Toyotas, and maybe even poking a little bit of fun at Toyotas, and of course, having Christmas in Toyotas, then this is the podcast for you. That's right, ladies and germs. My name is Tyler, and joining me today on the Snail Trail episode is the one and only log lever himself, Jimmy Jet. How you doing, Mr. Log Lever?
You guys will all have to wait to the end of the episode to figure out that reference. But I am doing well, thank you.
Oh, good. I'm glad.
I am not double-decking anybody.
You know, oh, this is off to a great start. This episode's going to be fantastic. Oh, man. Merry Christmas to you, bud.
Thanks, man. Merry Christmas to you.
It's not Christmas yet.
Well,
but it is Christmas.
It is.
Okay.
Yeah. We've got Christmas presents in front of us.
We do have Christmas presents in front of us. Yours are wrapped a lot nicer than mine.
I actually wrapped them this year.
I gave you a cross wrapping.
You did. Of duct tape.
It's a very Christian-y.
Yeah, I like it.
I took a torn up Amazon box and duct taped it twice.
It's perfect.
Good. Man. Yeah, we have some fun episode today here for you guys. We're going to keep it. The goal is to keep it a little shorter. We'll see how that turns out, knowing Jimmy and I. 'Tis the season. We just want to say Merry Christmas to everybody. Hopefully you guys are not listening to this episode on Christmas and you're spending time with loved ones or with whatever you love doing on Christmas. And you're listening to this after Christmas sometime. But we have some fun stuff we're going to go over today for you. And I don't know, should we even skip housekeeping?
Well, let's just
episode
go
this year and just go. Or?
We've done that before. Let's just say if the end of the month is coming up quick, so if you want a Christmas present from Tyler and I, you need to sign up for the end of the year on iRate 4x4 as a Snail Squad member. And we love reviews, so why don't you leave us a review? And if you enter into the reviews before we hit 750 reviews, you could win a set of tires from Yokohama.
Cool.
Bam. Done.
I like it.
Moving on.
That's quick and easy. So this episode, we have some voicemails.
We do.
We have some Christmas gifts to unwrap from each other.
We do.
For each other. We have a couple of updates from Morphlate.
Yes.
To round out and finish out the year.
And an update about the 4Runner.
And an update about the 4Runner really quick. So where do we want to start?
Well, let's do voicemails. Let's do voicemails.
Yeah, because I think from reading through here, there's a couple that are feedback from previous episodes.
Yeah.
So we can get to those fairly quickly and see what people have to say. I'm a little worried about this first one. Let's save this one to the end because I think it's going to be funny because he spends the whole first half of it talking about something weird. So let's go to caller number 2.
Okay.
It's Kevin Poole.
Mr. Pool Noodle.
Mr. Pool Noodle. Here we go. Let's see what he has to say.
We have his noodle right here.
We do have his noodle. Kevin's noodle is here in the studio.
Yeah.
We have to explain it to people on Zoom calls, usually. Let's see what Mr. Poole has to say.
Hey, I was just curious. I haven't heard any of Tyler's rants about leaf blowers, but I was kind of wondering how your leaf blower neighbors are going. I don't know. You can ask Sean about it, but I do the same thing. I blow everything out to the road. I don't have any trees in my lot, so leaves go out to the road, and the next neighbor gets to deal with it. Yeah.
You are the worst kind of human being, Kevin Poole. No, my immediate neighbors right now we're all being really good with our leaf blowers this year. And we have communal leaf piles on our little section of street there on our block.
Oh,
so everything's going really well on my section of the street. I was driving through and watched a guy blow all the leaves out of his yard in and across the street into the public property area.
okay. Yeah.
I was like, awesome. So all of our parcel taxes go to cleaning up your leaves.
Yep.
Sweet. Thanks.
Nice. Yeah. I blew some of my leaves off into the road the other day.
You're the worst kind of human being, J Daddy.
No problem. You're welcome. But I mean, they're not going to affect anybody. Nobody comes around and cleans our leaves up.
That's true. They just end up in the gutter, and then you guys have to
and then the water runs them down. And they
build up in the gutter over
they
time.
They could a little bit, yeah. But it was like, I mean, if you piled it up, it would have been maybe a soccer ball.
Oh, okay. Well, that's not bad. I'm talking about like
I know, yeah,
2 to 5, 10 trash bags worth of leaves.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, not way too much. Speaking of rants,
okay,
I have a very minor.
Well, I'm excited.
Little rant.
You don't usually rant about a whole lot of things.
And it's not even that. I mean, it's just a silly, stupid thing that happened.
I'll be ready. You're going to get labeled by like leaf blowers are now.
Well, so this last weekend, we went up to a Hanukkah party. Actually, the weekend before Christmas, we went up to a Hanukkah party.
Okay.
Right. And on the drive up, I asked the assistant, I said, who's driving home?
Okay.
Right. And she said, well, they're your friends, your college friends. So I'll drive.
That's nice.
I said, okay, sounds great. So we get there, we're hanging out. We're maybe an hour and a half into the party. And I grab my second drink and I pop it open and it's some like seltzer thing that the assistant brought.
And
she's like, that's a good flavor. And I was like, oh, okay. Yeah. You tried this one? And she's like, yeah, that one was good. And I looked at her and I knew she had, she started with like the green one and I was drinking the blue one. Right. And she was on an orange can. I'm like, so are you on drink number 3? And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, I'm only on drink number 2.
Yeah.
Who's driving here?
Yeah.
I'm like, if you're the designated driver, you can't out drink the drinker.
I don't know. Have you seen your wife drink?
Yes. But I'm like, what is up with this? And I don't get it. How many drinks, if you're there an hour and a half and I guess you could front load it.
Yeah. And then just hang out.
Just hang out for another few hours. But I was like, okay, well, I guess I'm going to stop drinking now.
Yeah.
And I'll drive. Like, this is ridiculous. Like, if you're going to be the designated driver, I mean, I guess it really depends on how long you're there. But I mean, I think that you shouldn't have like an excess of 3.
Yeah.
I don't know how many drinks you should. Yeah. It's kind of hard to,
for a designated driver, 3 in an hour and a half.
That's too many.
That's too many for a designated driver.
But if you're leaving in an hour and a half, but if you're leaving in 5 hours from then, that's probably okay.
True.
And so it's sort of hard to put a number on how many somebody should have. But I'm just like, this is stupid. Like, I guarantee the next time we go to a party, I'm going to be like, okay, who's driving? And she's like, I'll drive. I'll be like, okay, are you going to outdrink me this time too? Like, what the hell? And the thing is, like, if it was a competition, I would destroy her. But I was just on a lazy, relaxing, chatting, drinking scenario. I was just having a good time talking to friends, and I guess she wasn't doing a lot of talking. She was doing more drinking. So I was like, I'm going to go to like her Christmas party for her side of the family and be like, okay, well,
I'll drive.
Yeah, I'll drive and I'll just all right, line up shots or something.
Walk in the door. We're doing shots, everybody.
Yeah, exactly. So
interesting.
Anyways, that's my little rant.
Yeah, I know that. So like right now it's awesome because I have a designated driver.
Yeah. Because
my significant other is not allowed to drink. As much as I keep tempting her and trying to get her to drink, she keeps being good. But it's like, yeah, at what point do you, hopefully, your designated driver well enough and have spent enough time around them to know that if they have 2 beers, probably okay.
Yeah.
Maybe if they have 2 stouts, they're not okay, but 2 Coors Lights are okay. Like, kind of knowing what your designated driver's limit is.
And those drinks were 8%.
Oh, geez. 3 at 8%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, I was
thinking like 3 is borderline too much for Coors Lights in an hour and a half for a designated driver. Like,
for sure. If you're leaving in that
if
hour,
you're leaving in an hour and a half,
right.
yeah.
But we were there for many hours. But I was just saying, it's like, I just was a little peeved that either she doesn't have the know-withal, the knowledge, or like, I don't like, yeah, I don't know how to answer that without belittling her too far.
She likes her alcohol.
She does.
She's a good drinker. And but does she know her limits? Like, does she know how many drinks roughly it takes before she's tipsy and drunk and too far? And
I'm sure she does, but the question really is, it's like, if you've had 3 drinks, would you be sober enough to drive home?
Yeah.
And when would you, and 3 drinks at 8%. So that's, in a way, that's what?
That's
6
5
beers,
drinks, 5 or 6 lights.
Yeah. 5 or 6 beers. So that means in 5 or 6 hours after that point, in theory, you should be sober enough to drive home.
Yeah.
So if she had one more drink, we would have been like, we're staying there the entire night.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was a little perturbed. Perturbed. That's the word.
Sounds like it's time for an intervention, Jimmy.
Right? Let's all drink.
We all need about to drink. Hey, I am drinking.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, I'm done with my frozen campfire stout today.
Little rant.
Cool. That's a good one because it's a very applicable rant for other people out there
and
too.
A good message for this time of year.
Yeah, it's not like my paper straw rant where I'm just like,
yeah.
This is just fucking stupid. It just bugs me.
And that's the thing is like, I don't want to be the designated drunk driver. Like that's not like if I'm a DD, I maybe have one drink.
Yeah.
The entire night that I'm there.
Yeah.
Right. And it's usually like I show up, I get a drink, and then I don't drink the rest of the night because then I have all that time to get it out of my system.
Yeah.
But I just don't get it, especially this time of year. There's more cops out. There's more drunk drivers out. There's just more dangers on the road.
It's all riskier. Yeah.
And why take that risk?
Yep.
So
cool.
That's just a little word for the wise out there. Just be safe this time of year.
Yep. I like it. Let's see. So we got another voicemail here.
Yep. 3 more.
3 more. That's right. That was only 1. This is, I believe, a feedback from the safety tips.
Okay.
Shade Tree Mechanic Safety Tips episode. Here we go.
What's up, guys? This is James Ginsburg from Ginsburg Fabrication.
James.
I was just calling about your safety tips episode. I was working in my shop a couple months ago, and I was up on a ladder, and I was coming down the ladder and missed the last step and ended up falling and did the splits, and I'm a big guy and my body doesn't do that. So I ended up hitting the ground and tore my groin muscle extremely bad and was laying face down on the ground and could not get up. So yet again, keep your phone on you, like you guys were saying.
Wow.
I had called my wife. She wasn't home. So I ended up having to call the neighbor because I could not get up. I tried. Worst pain I've ever been in. So the neighbor had to come by, and then we had to get my dad there. It took 2 guys to pick me up and put me in a truck to take me to the hospital. So, yep, good tip is keep your phone on you, and that way if something happens, you can get a hold of somebody. Otherwise, I'd be laying there for a while. But love your podcast. I've been listening for years. I don't rock crawl or do any of that kind of stuff, but still love the podcast. I build desert cars and have a desert car, so I go through the desert at 100 miles an hour. But still love your guys' podcast and what you guys talk about. So keep it up, and I'll keep listening. Talk to you.
Yeah, that's a great story, but fuck, that hurts listening to.
There's no man out here should be able to do the splits, but if you do, it's just every time you see even a gymnast do the splits, I cringe.
Did you see there's a video that's going around right now of a girl doing a backflip and landing in the splits?
No.
Oh my God.
Good thing she doesn't have nuts.
Like there's a certain point where she's up in the air going around. You're like, oh my God, she's not going to make it. She's gonna be like one of those people that hits her feet and then falls over on her face really quick.
Yeah.
And then she goes from not landing it to directly into the splits and landing in the splits.
Oh my God.
And you're just like, oh, Oh,
Yeah. I got scared for you twice.
Twice in a quarter of a second.
Yeah. Oh man. God. But yeah, well, thanks for calling in, James. What was it? Ginsburg Fab. That's pretty cool.
He does some really cool desert stuff. He's down in SoCal, and I follow his stuff on Instagram, and he does some fun desert stuff.
Cool.
Like, if I ever get a chance to make it down to SoCal and have a couple of days extra, I'm going to come by and say hi to James, and he said he'll take me for a rip in the car. So,
sweet.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
That's pretty awesome. Yeah, some of that desert stuff and the high powered desert racing rigs are pretty gnarly out there. So, but yeah, thanks for calling in. Thanks for the advice. Yeah, keep your phone on you. I mean, I was up on the roof putting Christmas lights up, and I was like, my phone's in my pocket. If I fall off and can move my arms, I can make a phone call. So
this is something that I'm actually really bad at. So like I'll start with my phone in my pocket and it'll bug the crap out of me while I'm working on stuff. And so I'll take it out of my pocket and like put it on the tire of the car or somewhere away from me. So I don't have something fall on it.
That's a good point. There's a lot of times when I'm lifting something and like I have my phone in my pocket and I don't want to crush my phone. I move my phone to my back pocket.
There you go.
Yeah. Okay. So it's still on me.
Yeah.
Granted, if I fall down and land on my rear end or something, then I probably am going to break my phone also, but at least the thing is I'm usually doing something where I could damage the phone in the front pocket. So I usually move it to my back pocket. Yeah. So I can still have it on me or around.
One thing that I'm going to start doing is when I'm out in the shop or the garage or something like that, working on the car, I'll probably end up leaving my phone away, but I'll be wearing earbuds.
Yeah.
And that way, if something happens, I can double tap the earbud and make a call and say, hey, Siri or Google, call so-and-so.
Yeah. Speaking of that, did you see that you interrupted, was it Mike Klein's car?
Yes, that was funny.
By saying, hey, G-man. Yeah, that was pretty funny.
So I didn't realize you could trigger Google by saying G-man. That's pretty funny.
Well, you said Google.
Oh, I did?
When you said it, that interrupted them. I just used G-man right now so that it wouldn't do it to people.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
So like if I go, hey, Google, order me some toilet paper.
Right.
How many people's phones and devices are ordering them toilet paper right now?
You can probably do that with Alexa. Easier. But yes. Anyways, let's move on. Thanks for calling in, James. Yep. Good to hear your voice. And look forward to seeing some desert racing stuff.
Cool. So another voicemail number 3. Looks like it's about lockers.
Okay.
Feedback from the locker episode. Oh, we also have another piece.
Good morning, Jimmy and Tyler. Y'all, on y'all's most recent podcast, said limited slips are not good for off-roading. I counter that because I have a limited slip in my 2006 Tacoma TRD Sport pre-runner, so it's a rear-wheel drive version. I have had numerous successes with off-roading my truck and the limited slip coming in handy at certain points. There's been times where I'm going up an incline and I start slipping a little bit, but like after a bit, I get some traction and I keep going. I give it credit to the limited slip doing its job and making sure I get up whatever I'm going over and stuff. As far as I'm concerned, I'm still moving 2 wheels, whereas if I had an open diff, I would just keep slipping. I'd just be doing 1 wheel and would not get over whatever obstacle I'm getting over. Now, limited slips are not the best for all types of off-roading, but they use limited slips in rally racing, which is another form of off-roading. I don't know. I disagree with y'all. The limited slips are probably not the best for rock crawling, so I agree with that. But like other forms of off-roading, I think limited slips excel at, for sure. Also, this is Zach. I don't know if I said it at the beginning of the message, but that 40-pound headlight in the bear story, the headlight came from a Hyundai Palisade, massive headlights, and it actually happened the story happened in New Mexico. That's a bit of, that story happened a while and is gone, but I don't know, I'm just calling about it now because I'm calling about the limited slip. But y'all have a good morning and keep crawling.
I love it.
Thanks, Zach.
Yep.
I 100%
Well,
to
yeah,
some extent,
totally.
right?
Yeah.
I mean, your and I frame of reference is rock crawling.
Mm-hmm.
We don't, and that's pretty much kind of what we judge everything off of.
Totally.
Where a limited slip is not the best for rock crawling.
Correct. It's better than open.
It is. It's better than open.
Mm-hmm.
But granted, probably desert, speeding in the desert, you'd be fine with a limited slip sort of scenario over a locker.
I would argue for desert racing stuff, pre-running stuff, that you would almost just want a spool in the rear if you're two-wheel drive. That way you have traction all the time.
Yeah.
But
it would and it doesn't matter if it's loose, right?
Correct.
In
it doesn't
that
matter
scenario?
if it's loose in that scenario. But
if it's loose ground.
Yeah, if you're driving a pre-runner truck on the road as well quite a bit, then yeah, limited slips are great for that dual purpose.
Right.
Yeah. That's true. I will 100% give him credit. Rally Sport is not off-roading. I'll just put that there. I'm just kidding.
It's off-road.
I'm kidding.
It depends on what, yeah. I mean, it's not rock crawling, but
no,
it's definitely off-road.
But could you go rock crawling Rally Sport?
Sure.
Is that what Ultra 4 is, I guess?
Yeah,
okay.
Sort of. Not with a rally car.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think that, there's something to be said there. Yeah, there's a good application for different situations.
Yeah.
Right. And what we're primarily talking about is rock crawling.
Yeah.
Which I would not advise you to get out of all the options out there, I would not advise you to get a limited slip. If you're going to be doing your rear end, working on the differential, and you do drive on the road a lot, I would say get an E-locker or get ARB.
ARB is something selectable.
Yes, get a selectable locker.
Yeah.
That's what I would advise.
At bare minimum, I would at least do a lunchbox in the rear.
Sure.
Because they're cheap and affordable, and you can still get decent road handling manners out of them, and it'll still lock up when you're on the trail.
Right.
So
that would be the cheapest way.
Yeah.
But and it would work, but the drivability is less comfortable with a lunchbox locker than a selectable.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yep.
Did you want to go into Hustle Nuts?
Yeah, let's do Hustle Nuts' review or feedback as well.
Yeah.
Let me go find it. So I almost brought one of his things up in the episode, and I was like, we're not really talking too much about racing. We just don't have a lot of racing listeners, right? Race car driver listeners. So Hustle Nuts wrote us a good...
some good feedback.
Some good feedback here. Yeah. He said, Eaton does not make an E-locker for the Ford 9-inch or the 14-bolt axle housings.
Okay.
Which is true. That's the number one reason why I went away from E-lockers to begin with on my axle build, was because I was looking at 9-inch and they didn't do 9-inch.
I don't think, to my knowledge, which could be wrong, nobody makes an E-locker for a 9-inch.
Nobody does.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the reason that the E-locker is not there is because of the extra pinion bearing support.
Right. Which is what he said.
Yep.
Primarily, there's an extra pinion bearing support in a 9-inch that gets in the way of having the electronic locker setup.
Yep. Also, you did not touch on the ARB setup that I have, which is CO2 and a toggle switch.
Right.
Much more simple than using a compressor.
Yeah, absolutely.
True. Yep. And what he has is essentially it's a power tank, power shot. Which is a small air tank that's pressurized.
Like a 20 ounce or something.
Yeah, something like that. And hooked up into an airline. And then it's just on a mechanical switch. So it's a valve that when you flip the switch, the valve opens. When you flip the switch again, the valve closes.
Right.
So he can apply air pressure and then release the air pressure when he closes the valve.
Right. So no need for a compressor, no need for the electronics that run the compressor, anything like that. He just has more or less an air line to a tank with a mechanical switch right there.
Yep. Which works. I would still say that that's still a more complex setup than an E-locker system would be. Mainly because what happens if you run out of CO2? You just carry a spare bottle with you?
Yeah. At that point, you do. I mean, because it's not even... 2 20-ounce bottles is smaller than a 10.6 Morphlate compressor. Yep. It might be the same size as an ARB compressor, or roughly. So,
it'd be a lot lighter.
And a lot lighter, yeah. So, I think he carries another bottle as well. It's your backup.
It's your backup. So, here's my argument about that. And this is something I talked with Power Tank Steve about.
Okay.
On the Slick Rock trip, the first one we went on with them. And I was like, oh, that's an interesting setup, because the first time I'd seen CO2 bottles used to engage ARB lockers was on his old red 4Runner.
Yeah.
And so I was like, what happens if that bottle runs out? He goes, oh, I just carry a spare bottle and I swap it out. And I was like, what happens if it runs out in the middle of an obstacle? And he goes, well, you just get out and swap the bottle. And I'm like,
yeah, what happens if you're in an obstacle that you're not in a good spot?
Yeah, you're not in a good spot to get out. And so he goes, we haven't had that happen yet. And it happened on that run.
Oh, did it? I don't remember that.
I was right behind him. We were going into the rock pile. And he ran out of air in his CO2 bottle, had to get out of the truck, swap the bottle, which he was in a decent spot to get out of the truck. But when he got back in, he couldn't put his seatbelt back on.
Oh, yeah.
And so he had to get back to a level spot where he can get his seatbelt on, which meant he still had to go through a little bit of the obstacle without his seatbelt on. I was like, that's not something I'm willing to risk.
Yeah.
And ever since then, I was like, hey, kudos to people that want to do that. I'm not one of them.
Right.
So
I think it's one of those scenarios that's it's like a 1 in a million, scenario.
Totally. It's a super low risk.
Yeah. And there's a mechanical switch, which there's an electronic switch. Mm-hmm. You've got an airline where you're running wires compared to an e-locker. They're pretty comparable, but you still have, I think that, I don't know why, but I guess there's an air bottle, but you have a battery. I don't.
You're more likely to run out of air in an air bottle or use that air reserve,
drain your battery,
then drain your battery.
Yeah. So I don't know.
Yeah.
It
definitely still could happen though. I'm not saying it can't.
Well, it's definitely simpler than an air compression system.
Yes.
It's ever so, in my mind, it's ever so minutely more complex than an e-locker.
I would agree.
By only fractions. But but it is another alternative that we did not talk about.
Totally.
So thanks for bringing that up. And the last thing on his list?
There was 2 more things.
Oh, 2 more things. Okay.
No, this was just the FYI. He said, I would say that most Ultra 4 racers and higher end rock crawlers either use an air locker or a spool, not e-lockers.
Correct.
And that is also correct. And that's mainly because of the strength issue we talked about with e-lockers. The casing of the carrier tends to be a lot thinner material than ARB uses in their lockers.
Right.
Or Yukon in their zip lockers.
Yeah. I don't know about the larger differentials, like 10 inches or up, but I do know that there are a lot of Ultra 4 guys that run 9 inches.
Yep.
And high 9s. And then what's the 10 called? The high 10, not high 10. It's
essentially a lot of what they're doing is they're running the 9-inch carriers and third members with 10-inch ring gears.
Right.
So they're called 910s.
Right. But they also, there's another brand that makes a 10-inch one.
There's high 9s, TubeWorks does the carriers. I think they make the gears as well.
Anyways, my argument is most of them are roughly in a 9-inch housing, and that's where his statement is absolutely true, but you can't put an e-locker into one of those.
That is also true.
There's another reason that they're not running e-lockers in some of these scenarios.
That is true.
Also, you brought up a good point in episode, 458, when we talked about all this, about how air lockers can engage at higher speeds
100%,
and sooner than an e-locker can. So that is also a good reason why they're running.
That's another big factor for racers. Totally.
Yeah. Where a normal everyday wheeler or a normal Joe wrec wheeler doesn't need to concern themselves with those things.
Yep.
So maybe an e-locker is a better situation for you.
Yeah. Like there's a lot of people out there. I've talked with a few people that are like, I just want to do whatever the racers are doing in their vehicles.
Yeah. And I'm like, you don't need to.
I'm like, that doesn't always translate great for rec wheelers.
Let's talk about Cody Addington for a second.
Okay.
What did Cody Addington win his first KOH race in?
I believe it was his 84 Toyota pickup.
Yep. And what axles were probably under that? I'm not 100%.
Toyota axles?
Yeah, Toyota.
Mini Toyota, not even the IFS ones.
Yeah. And he finished a King of the Hammers race with, and I don't know what lockers he had in there. If he probably had, just purely guessing he had Detroit's front and rear.
Either that or welded.
Yeah, or welded, right? Yes, maybe Detroit front welded rear. I'm not sure. But there's many different levels of off-road racers, King of the Hammers. There are the high-end ones that a lot of people try to replicate. But if you're a rec wheeler, do you really need to replicate what an Ultra 4 racer is?
For pride, yes, Jimmy, we do.
Okay, well, I don't have any pride. I'm very happy with Bobcat sitting on mini truck axles, 37-inch tires, and going everywhere that pretty much everybody else goes.
I would agree to that.
And
I've seen you do it a lot.
And follow more or less line for line what some buggies can do.
You still take Bobcat in more places than I take Kermit with his current setup.
Yeah.
I'm just
It's true.
it's just crazy.
So, I think to some extent, that's my seat time in that rig.
Yeah.
Because I've almost had 20 years of seat time in Bobcat. But it's also, that rig is purpose built.
Mm-hmm.
It's built for a rock crawler.
Yep.
And it can do it pretty decently.
Mm-hmm.
But I think you just need to look at, and then I'll go with the argument of you need to consider what type of off-roading you do and how, beefy do you really need it for that type of off-roading?
Yeah.
Like I've never been to Sand Hollow.
Mm-hmm.
Do I really need to have massively wider axles and bigger tires so that I can do these cracks and ledges?
Mm-hmm.
Like maybe I'll go there one day,
Yeah.
but that's not where I wheel every single day or every time I go out. The vast majority of my wheeling, Rubicon and Ford Ice, and Bobcat is built perfect for just those two trails.
Yep. And his last point, which I thought was a really cool piece of info that I didn't realize. And now that I think about it, and if I'm understanding it correctly, I'm not sure if I completely understand it correctly, but anyway, let me just say, it says another nice thing about having a spool in a steering axle, front or rear, is that the U-joints are always in phase.
Right.
This helps a lot when turning, as the tires are actually moving at the same speed when turned.
Yeah.
And rotated.
Yeah. I never thought of that.
I didn't either, right?
I never would have been something that I would have considered or thought about.
Yeah.
But it makes sense.
Totally.
I'm almost curious, like what if you had them 90 degrees out of phase?
Yeah. Right.
What other effects, what would that help or hinder? Like,
so
how does it
describe what that means?
Well, so okay,
being in phase or
no,
out
I'm
of
not
phase.
even what that means to me is that the U joints at the end of the axle because it's a steering axle, it has to articulate or rotate in those locations, that you can pair those up matching side to side.
Mm-hmm.
So if the U joint, one of the caps is pointing to the sky and one's pointing to the floor, you can have the other side tire mimic
exact same way.
so that they are always spinning the exact same way.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I get how that they're in phase and they could rotate. I'm not entirely sure. And maybe Hussman can call in or write us back about what the importance of that is.
I'd be curious to know what happens if they're not in phase. Like, if they're not in phase, then are they
weaker?
Are they rotating at different speeds while it's turned? Like, do they slightly bind at different points?
Yeah.
Maybe if they're out of, I don't know. That's why I'm kind of like, I don't know what it does if it's out of phase. So I don't know. I'm curious. But it makes sense what he's saying. And
it makes sense, but I don't know. Like, I understand what he's saying and the logic behind it, but I don't know why it's that important.
He's a lot smarter than both of us.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Maybe there's something there about, how a U joint is not 100% tight, but once they would both be tight at the same time.
Maybe, Anyway, so Hussman, let us know what the benefits of being phased are.
Yeah.
Because I want to know more about that concept. All right. Last piece of feedback.
Okay.
It's from Jason Green.
Oh, okay.
Who's yelling at a lady in the middle of the highway. That's what I'm getting from his voicemail. Here we go.
Hello, boys. Jason here from the
Jason.
#1 off-road podcast, Wheel and Wine and Whiskey.
Number 4 podcast.
It's been a while since I called in. Holy crap, lady. What are you doing? What the? Lady is crossing 205 here in Tracy with her dog.
Oh, my gosh.
3 lanes of highway. 4 lanes of highway. Wow. Got the center divide. Holy shit. What are they doing here in Tracy? Anyways.
random. Maybe her Dodge broke down. I don't know. Crack is whack. Unbelievable. I can't make that shit up. So, what was I going to say? Oh, so 458, episode 458. Good episode. A lot of good tips, solid tips there. I got a couple for you. One, don't shortcut stuff. If you got to take apart a fender or something to give you more access, do it. I've learned over the years trying to, I don't want to tear everything apart, and it just makes it that much harder, that particular job. Tear the shit down. Give yourself plenty of room to work. Second thing is when you get frustrated, like a bolt won't come apart, because it can't be tied with. Before you bust out the torch, just fucking close the garage door and go inside for the night. Nothing good happens when you're frustrated and shit ain't going right. I know there's deadlines, #hammer prep, but sometimes it's better just to walk away. You guys did allude to that for a snack and something, but I'm talking overnight, next day, and talk to some people. Anyways, keep up the good work, boys. And what else? Oh,
that was great. I almost spit my beer out all over the board and everything.
Right? There's a lady crossing the highway with her dog. Okay.
Jeez.
Thanks for calling in, Mr. Jason Green from Wheeling Wine and Whiskey.
The number 4 off-roading podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. One of the best up there. Mm-hmm. Good advice.
Yeah, totally.
I agree. Taking a break, taking the night sometimes. There's something happens sometimes when you sleep at night and that's on your mind. And all of a sudden in the middle of the night, while you're asleep, you're like, I have the solution.
And then you wake up at 1 a.m. and you're like, I gotta go fix it.
I gotta go do it. Yeah, that's a good one for sure. Absolutely.
That's a really good one that I don't think we ever touched on, is just take it apart.
Yes.
MFer Ryan and I pulled my engine on the 4Runner a couple weeks ago to wrap my crossover exhaust.
Right.
And we kept trying to do everything we could to not pull the engine.
Okay.
And it ended up costing us so much more time than it would have if we had just pulled the engine to begin with.
Right. You spent as much time hesitating to pull the engine as if you just pulled the engine, you would have had it out.
We spent way more time hesitating and trying to find a way to do it without pulling the engine.
Right.
And it was frustrating. We were getting annoyed. We had to stop to go get food because we were like, we just need to take a break.
Yeah.
And when we came back, we finally just resulted to pulling the engine.
Right.
And once we pulled the engine, we got the whole job done in like 2 hours after that.
Right.
But it took us, I think, 5 or 6 hours up until that point.
Yep.
of being frustrated. So
sure. Absolutely. Yeah. I think that's sound advice. Don't shortcut it. Do the job right the first time. You can say that, and it's fairly easy to always follow those rules. Sometimes, there's reasons why you need to shortcut something, to trail fix or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Or you just don't have the right part and it'll take too long and you're supposed to go wheeling the next day or whatever, however it comes down. But I do agree, take your time, do it right, and don't shortcut it.
Yeah. So cool stuff. Thanks, Jason, for calling in and telling us about a lady crossing 205.
Yeah.
That's super crazy. Let's see. That's the last of our feedback.
Okay.
Let's see. I have a couple of updates I can get through, I think, pretty quick, and then we'll end the show with Christmas presents.
Sounds good.
All right. First update is the 4Runner. I'm pretty sure the cooling is fixed.
Okay.
Yes. So, like I just alluded to, we pulled the engine, wrapped the crossover exhaust, and it's behaved a lot better since I did that. I also had a 4-core aluminum radiator that I talked about before. I got that put in.
Yes.
And it's behaving even better.
Nice. Okay.
Now. So I was like, I've driven it around a few times now and just kind of watched the temps just driving around town kind of thing. And I drove out to Rancho Cordova once, and the temperature, it was pretty cool to watch because my thermostat is 190.
Okay.
So that means the thermostat opens and lets coolant mixture into the engine when the engine temperature gets above 190 degrees, and then it closes when the engine temperature is below 190.
Right. Okay. Makes sense. That's how the thermostat works.
That's how thermostats work, in case people didn't know. And so watching it on the OBD2, I could watch it get to like 195, 198, and then it would drop to 184.
Whoa. Yeah.
And so it kept going back and forth between low 180s and upper 190s. So I'm like, sweet. It's not only working, but it's keeping it below cool below the thermostat temperature, just slightly, right? You don't want your engine to run really low below the thermostat because then it doesn't run efficiently.
Right.
Doesn't get efficient burns. But at 180, 185, I'm happy with that when that engine's designed to run at 190.
Perfect. Well, that's good news. Now I want an update in August.
Exactly, right? So so the other thing is this summer, I went up and did Barrett Lake with Hussman, took him as my passenger. And on our way up there in the morning at like 6 a.m., 6:30 a.m., the rig overheated. It got to 238, 240 degrees on that grade between Placerville and Pollock Pines.
Right. Yeah.
And so that was 6:30 in the morning. It was probably 60 degrees outside, maybe 65. The engine got up to 240. And I was like, whoa, we got to turn on the heater. And so after I did that, it was fine. But I ran up to Pollock Pines this last weekend.
Yeah.
To buy windshield wiper blades.
Yes.
And it was my test, right? So ever since driving around town and seeing the temperatures being really good, I bolted the winch back to the bumper.
Oh, okay.
So now I've got the whole front end set up how it used to be set up, which is a worse case than when I went up to Barrett Lake with Hussman.
Right.
And I waited until the afternoon. So it was about 57 degrees, 58 degrees. So similar temperatures to that time that it overheated, and drove up to Pollock Pines.
Yeah.
I got up, and my rules for this trip was I needed to stay at 65 miles an hour as much as possible.
Sure.
On any of the inclines, I needed to be between 55 and 65. And then any of the grades, like there's 3 or 4 grades along that stretch that are just kind of hefty grades.
Yeah.
I had to stay above 50 miles an hour. So if that meant dropping the transmission down to third gear and screaming at 3,500 RPMs, that's what I had to do.
Right.
And so I was able to achieve all that and keep it all there. On the grades, I only went up to about 212 degrees.
Okay.
And then it was pretty cool watching it go up the grades. And as soon as the grade levels out and I start coming down on the descent or just flatland, the temperature just plummets back down to 190.
Oh, cool. Good.
Quickly too. And then on that stretch, where it's a longer, prolonged climb between Pollock and Placerville, it got up to 221.
Okay. Yeah. Where you had the problem last time.
That's where I had the problem last time at 240 degrees.
Right.
So it's running about 20 degrees cooler in the engine with worser case scenario of airflow on the front end and comparable temperatures outside.
Right.
And I think I would imagine I was pushing the rig harder because I was trying to stay at 65 miles an hour.
Okay.
And so I think it's all good.
Nice.
For now. Again, I won't know for sure until the middle of August.
Right. Yeah.
But I think we're all good.
Yeah.
I'm not going to cut off my bumper. I'm going to wire up the winch. I still need to cut off the sliders and the rear bumper and redo all those.
Okay.
So
nice. Well, it's good news. I'm not going to count anything as closed.
Not quite.
I think I've heard you say that this is good a few times now on Kermit. So we'll wait till summertime. I guarantee you're fine all winter.
Oh, yeah.
I can understand
I'm good for
that.
winter for sure. Yeah.
Well, once things really start warming up here in NorCal and those silicone wiper blades that you bought start drying out, we'll see how that temperature does.
Yep. So that's the update at Kermit. Other update, which I'm really excited about. We've talked about the Gen 2 compressors from Morphlate.
That was last month's giveaway.
So we got to talk a lot about them, kind of the updates and changes we made to them.
Okay.
And the whole point of those changes and updates were to increase the duty cycle.
Yeah.
Increase the heat management.
Okay. Yeah.
So decrease,
dissipate
the heat quicker.
Yeah. Discipline
the heat. Dissipate the heat quicker, improve duty cycles, and improve runtime in the compressors, which overall, when you do that, it increases the lifespan, the longevity of a compressor.
Got it. Awesome.
So we finally got in our first batch, the full batch of the production models.
Full batch. You got it all in?
No, it's coming in 3 different shipments. We got the first shipment in already.
Which was shipment number 2.
It was shipment number 2. Yeah. For anybody keeping track of all the fucking shipments got lost.
I saw that on your Instagram.
I don't want to get into that. So anyways, we got them in. I put 2 aside to do duty cycle and stress testing on to make sure that all these changes actually played an impact.
Yeah. Did something that you had planned.
Yes. Sure. Did what we had planned.
Okay.
And I was expecting with the changes we made to have maybe a 1.5 to 2 times. Like if we hit 2 times the duty cycle improvement, I was going to be stoked. Like I was going to be super happy with it.
Okay. Yeah, for sure. What roughly is a duty cycle of Gen 1?
Gen 1 duty cycle at 0 PSI or neutral pressure is
that just running?
Yep. Just
like
running.
Nothing not connected to it?
Yep.
Okay.
And so the compressor industry, this really bugs me about the compressor industry. And if any of our listeners listened to the Jeepcast podcast, that I was on,
you were on it. Yeah.
We did an interview with them. I did an interview with them recently. We talked about how frustrated I am at the compressor industry because all the advertised ratings of compressors are all stats done at 0 pressure.
Got it.
So open flow, 0 pressure, nothing hooked up.
So your 10.6 PSI compressor pushes 10.6.
It actually pushes about 12 and a half to 13 CFM
at 0
PSI.
Oh, so CFM.
Yeah. CFM.
Yeah.
So I try not to do the 0 PSI pressures. I try and do about 5 to 10 PSI right around there.
Okay. Yeah.
For our stuff.
That makes more sense.
Right. It's an actual usable number.
Yeah. Right.
So
because most of the time you're not airing a tire up at 0 PSI.
No.
There's probably 5 at minimum on a lot of people that have beadlocks.
Yep.
There's probably more likely there's 10 to 12s out there. And there's probably everybody is pushing 20 and up at some point of inflation.
Yeah. So a lot of, 40-inch tire mud terrain rock crawlers will air up their tires to 25, maybe 30 PSI.
Okay.
Once you start getting to like all terrains, 33 through 37s, people are looking at, 35, sometimes 40 PSI. So most off-road tires are going to be, you're airing up to between 20 and 40 PSI, somewhere in that range. So
I've used it to air up my Clifford to 80.
To 80, yeah. I mean, yeah.
Which reminds me, remember the other trip, one of our last trips we went on the Rubicon with Matt?
Yes.
And the compressor kept going on and on and on. And it was up at like 37 PS or 40 PSI. You're like, what is this set to? Well, it was, and I didn't know, it was set to 80 for Clifford.
That's funny.
Yeah.
The industry likes to advertise everything at 0 PSI pressures.
It sounds better.
It does. It totally gives them better numbers. So we did, our old duty cycle was 15 minutes on, 15 minutes off.
Okay.
So it took at roughly 0.5 PSI, somewhere in that range. The compressor could run roughly 15 minutes before it hit the thermal cutoff.
Right. What is that duty cycle? Is that a
50%?
50%?
So essentially you take the total time that you're measuring over, which in this case is 30 minutes.
Right. So,
and how much time it runs for, that's your duty cycle. So 50% duty cycle over 30 minutes is how you would say it.
Okay.
Or 15 minutes on, 15 minutes off.
Right.
So it'd take 15 minutes to hit the thermal cutoff, 15 minutes to kind of cool back down to a safe usable temperature. That's your duty cycle.
Okay, cool.
So
the new ones
are 45 minutes.
What?
It runs for 45 fucking minutes before, and it doesn't even hit the thermal cutoff. The thermal cutoff is right around 240, 250 degrees.
Yeah.
After 45 minutes of continuous runtime, open flow, nothing attached to it, it only got to 200 degrees.
Wow.
On the cylinder heads.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And so what would the recovery time roughly be? 15 minutes?
10 minutes.
10 minutes?
We got it. Yeah. It cools down 5 minutes quicker.
40 and 10 or 45 and 10.
Yeah.
So what percentage is that?
45 and 10. So 55% with a 45-minute on time. That's 80%.
80%?
Roughly. I don't know what the exact math is.
That's pretty awesome.
So we pretty much like tripled the duty cycle.
Yeah. That's outstanding.
It's so freaking cool. I'm so excited with how these compressors are turning out right now after we've done all the stress testing on them. And the stainless steel hoses are working amazingly. We'll measure 200, 220 degrees at the end of the hose that's in the compressor.
Okay.
And then 120 on the coupler. It's dropping 100 degrees in 4 feet.
Wow.
Of stainless steel hose. And it makes touching and using the coupler barehanded now. You can do it.
Cool.
Yeah.
I've never really had an issue with that.
Yeah.
Personally.
I mean, most of the time the compressor doesn't run long enough to really get that hot.
Right.
And these ones definitely won't run that long enough to get hot. So
if you're doing one cut vehicle, the hose down.
So yeah, super, super happy with how these things are turning out. The stainless steel hoses are working amazing. We will measure at that thermal cutoff, the hose in the end that's in the compressor. We're measuring 220, 230 degrees, maybe.
Okay.
At the coupler end, we're measuring 120 to 130.
Wow.
So we're getting 100 degrees in temperature drop.
That's insane.
In 4 feet of hose.
Wonder if you could shorten the hose now.
Well, we always shortened it. The last one was 6 feet long. The stainless steel is 4 feet long.
Oh, dang.
So it's shorter now, a little bit shorter. And you can let the compressor sit for 2 minutes, maybe. And everything's warm enough to kind of touch and put away and not have to worry about it.
That's awesome.
But the cool thing is, since it cools off and handles heat so much better now, you have to run 3 to 4 vehicles worth in order for it to get so hot that you need to let it cool down before you put it away.
Or it even hits duty cycle.
Or yeah, exactly. You can do 4 to 5 vehicles now before it hits a duty cycle.
Rad.
Like
That's outstanding.
we did pressure testing, duty cycle testing at 0 PSI, 40 PSI, and 120 PSI.
Wow. What'd you air up to 120?
Nothing. We just ran it at 120 PSI. So what we did is we got an air tank, a big air tank, filled it up to 120 PSI with a different compressor with the shop air essentially.
Yeah.
And then hooked up one of our 10.6s to it and ran it at equal output. So we have a slide valve on the tank that you can change how much airflow is coming out of it.
Yeah. So
we made it so as much air was coming out as what's going in.
Right. So the constant pressure was 120.
Exactly.
Cool.
And even at 100, so before at kind of a restricted airflow, that's kind of our restricted airflow measurement is 120 PSI.
Right.
At restricted airflow, which is similar to doing 1 tire at a time, the compressors were a 2-minute duty cycle before.
Okay. So then this time they should be 6 minutes.
We're getting about 9 to 10 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah. At 120 PSI. Which is your restricted airflow.
So your restricted airflow rate is what the first gen version was at.
Close to it. Yeah. Yeah. It's pretty crazy.
Wow.
All the changes. We just figured this out in the past 2 to 3 days we finally finished all the duty cycle stress testing. So I was really excited to talk about it and let everybody know.
Yeah. That's outstanding, man. And kudos to you and Morphlate for everything that you guys have been doing. It's been a hell of a year for you, for sure.
It has. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So it gives me something to nerd out on.
Right? Yeah, definitely.
Something else to nerd out on. Anyway, so that's my 2 updates.
Okay. Good deal.
Christmas presents?
Did we get to open presents finally on our short episode that we're already like 50 minutes in at?
Yes, our short Christmas episode. Yeah.
All right. We're going to do this one at a time.
So yeah, yours is 1 kind of bigger gift and then 3 smaller ones, I think.
Okay. I have 2 for you.
Okay. So
if you didn't notice.
I didn't notice.
2 individual. I figured
one of them was just empty.
That's right. Yeah. It's full of coal.
Uh-huh. So let's see. I'll go through 1. I'll do 1. You can do yours and I'll do the other one.
Deal.
Okay. Did you wrap these, by the way?
I did, actually.
Ah, good job.
Thank you.
These are much better than I would ever do with wrapping.
This one's a little funny.
Nice. Fragile. Thank you. This is awesome. This is my first package where was it? There it is. It's the Manhattan proof syrup.
Yeah.
But the big bottle.
Big bottle.
I'm excited. I've been loving the whiskey mule that I took.
Oh yeah.
From our proof syrup stuff.
Yeah. I got,
looks good.
I bought myself the whiskey sour. So I'm curious I'm going to give it to myself for Christmas. So I haven't tried it yet.
Nice.
I pulled out a pin that pretty much has a little spinner on it, and it has the F word in case there's any little ears listening. And then around the arrow, it has it, that, off, this, me, and you. So you can spin the pin and it'll tell you to F something. And the second thing in here is huckleberry chai tea.
Yeah.
Good, hot, or cold. That's cool. Yeah. I love...
I know you like your chai teas.
I do like chai teas, and I am a tea fan, even though I bring coffee every day.
Yeah.
So
I didn't know if you liked huckleberry or not.
I've never had it, so we'll find out. Electric arc lighter.
Those are cool.
Yeah. We played with one of yours back in the day. That's really cool.
Yeah.
And then I got a nice Christmas ornament. Thank you very much, with a bunch of phallic symbols on it.
It's a phallic ornament.
I loved. Who actually drew that up for you? Did Brian? Brian do it, or did you do it?
No, I found the design on. I think it's Thingiverse, Thingiverse, whatever it is. It's a bunch of free 3D printed designs that people make and put up there for other people to use.
Got it.
And so I got the 3D design, and my version of Fusion 360 will not convert 3D files to 2D files.
Weird.
Which is annoying.
Yeah.
So I sent it to Lee and I said, hey, can you convert this for me? And so he converted it, and then mailed me a 3D printed one of those.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So he converted it to 2D for me, and then I lasered up a bunch of them.
How fun. Yeah. Yeah, they're super funny. The assistant will love it. I've showed her a picture of it, and she just started cracking up. Let's see. I got 5 different hot sauces.
Mm-hmm.
We got a chipotle hot sauce, a garlic hot sauce.
I might want to try that one.
A garlic habanero hot sauce.
I don't think I want to try that one.
Sriracha hot sauce. Is it a different thing? It just looks like normal sriracha. Oh, they got labels on them too. That's good. So the garlic habanero is, there's a very hot, the extra hot sauce. That's all it says. Doesn't really say what's in. Oh, down below, water, vinegar, aged red jalapeno peppers, salt. I can never say this word. Xanthium gum. Yeah. Yep. Garlic and gar gum. GUAR gum. Guar gum. Yeah. That's so it's just roasted jalapeno peppers is in the extra hot sauce. The Egyptian.
Yeah. Is there any like Schofield references on them as to how hot they are? Schofield scales?
No.
Because like if that garlic, the regular garlic one is more than like 20 Schofield, I'm out.
Yeah, right? No, I don't see any Schofield references. It's just mild, medium, hot, and very hot.
Okay.
But you wanted to try just a Russian garlic hot sauce. That one is the mild in this list.
It's a Russian garlic?
It says
that makes a little bit more extreme. I don't know if I can have that one.
Yeah, true. So, all right, I opened a few things. Why don't you do your next one, and then I'll open this or figure out what this big one is. Oh, while you're doing that, I got a cheesy charger. Are these all leftover items from your Morflate?
No.
Oh.
I was trying to get the cheeky chargers in.
Cheeky. Yeah, that's right. Okay.
The cheeky chargers in for the Morflate company one.
Yeah.
But the other stuff I actually like. There was fun little items that I've get, and I was like, "Oh, I know some people that would like these." I've been stashing them for the past few months for you and a couple of different people.
I saw this one on your employee out here's desk.
Yeah,
yeah. So this one's a guy grabbing a rear end and pulling apart his rear end to show the charging port,
the USB-C charging port. Yes. All right, where did I put my knife? Here it is. Taped up what it is.
There wasn't enough wrapping paper to go all the way around all the sides, so I had to cut another small piece to cover the other end, the bottom end.
Gotcha. Yeah, the bottom end is the part that I'm interested in, Jimmy.
Sorry.
It is the proof syrup, the margarita mix. That's gonna be exciting. I love my margaritas too.
Yeah. Got you some proof syrups. Merry Christmas, my friend.
Thank you, sir. That's exciting. I love the proof syrups. They're so good.
Right?
Yeah.
So I got my last item in here is a globe decanter.
Decanter.
And 2 glasses?
I think so, yeah.
It says the Wine Savant decanter. Mahogany stained wood?
Mm-hmm.
What?
So what's nice about it is I believe it's the decanter, a stand for it, 2 glasses, and I think there's also whiskey stones in there as well. Oh. But you can use it for wine or whiskey.
Okay.
So you can put your favorite whiskey in there and have it be like a little showpiece too. It was advertised technically as a whiskey decanter, but decanters you can use for wine as well. So
It's so nicely packed in there. I'll pull it out later, especially since
That's what she said.
I know we got a car ride. I've got a little bit of a trek home in a bumpy truck. Mm-hmm. So cool. Well, thank you very much.
Yeah.
I'll put that to use this New Year's party.
Yeah. Yeah. It's pretty cool looking. It's a globe thing too. So I figured you world traveler.
Yeah.
Would enjoy it, especially for your new bar.
Yeah. I'm excited for that.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of that, did you ever name your bar?
No, I didn't.
Until just that Tyler's bar.
I guess so.
Okay.
Nobody's named it for me or anything.
I was going to try to make you a bar sign, but I didn't know what you were naming it, and I didn't want to allude at it and give away my gift idea.
I don't know. I've still haven't named it. I haven't had anybody name it or anything like that. So
nice.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, buddy.
Yeah,
Merry Christmas.
You too, man.
Yeah. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Merry Christmas to everybody out there. Hope you have been enjoying your holiday and enjoying some hopefully time off with the family and friends, and just relaxing at least by a fire.
Yep. I like it. I'm going to try and do the same, relax by a fire over the next couple weeks. So that's it for today. Our short Christmas episode, an hour and 7 minutes here. So hopefully everybody's enjoying everything. We will look forward to saying hi to everybody here on Thursday, and everybody have a happy and Merry Christmas. Peace. Jimmy, do you have any final words?
Designated drivers don't outdrink your drinkers.
And with that, my friends, keep crawling.
I got one for you.
I'm ready for jokes. Hold on, we're past Christmas, right? This is New Year's
Day. Today is Christmas Day.
Ooh, so we still got Christmas jokes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. 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 Where do you find a Christmas tree?
In the forest.
In between Christmas 2 and Christmas 4.
What?
Christmas 3.
Okay. Whatever.
Which one of Santa's friends is the most chill?
Me.
Yep.
Definitely me.
Yep. All right. Next. Or it could be Jack Frost, I guess.
Oh, yeah. Like my beer.
Like your beer.
Dude, it's so cold I can't hold it.
What do you get if you cross Santa with a duck?
I don't know.
A Christmas quacker.
Ah, that's a good one.
Yeah, not bad. How much does it cost to run Santa's sleigh?
2 hot chocolates. And a White Claw.
$8. Or 9 if the weather's bad.
Okay. That's a good one too. I'll give you that one.
What is it called when Santa Claus takes his break?
I don't know what.
Santa Paws.
Oh, that's not the dog version of Santa?
It could be.
Okay.
Also, yeah. Yeah, Paws, P-A-W-S or P-A-U-S-E. Depends on which one you want to say.
Yeah. Yes.
What kind of motorcycle does Santa ride?
An Indian.
Nope.
Oh. Why not?
He rides a Harley Davidson.
Oh, okay. I think there's an Indian joke in there somewhere.
Maybe. What is Fanta's favorite state?
Santa's favorite state. I don't know.
Idaho. Ho, ho.
Idaho, ho, ho.
True. All right, one more.
Deal.
How does Santa Claus keep track of every fireplace he has already visited?
I don't know. How does he?
He keeps a log.
Okay. Is that like a poop reference?
It could be. Or he leaves a log.
He leaves a log. He leaves a log. That's what would be what it is. Then we got dual purpose. That's a good one. I like ours better.
Yeah.
He leaves a log.